Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. Let's start sitting for these first opening moments of our practice. If you have some prop situation that you could sit up on something, that might be helpful. And then bringing the pinky sides of your hands right near, like let them settle somewhere along the hip crease so that the palms can be like a basket to catch your belly as you let your belly begin to soften. You can close the eyes if that feels good. And let's just spend this first moment before anything else. See what we can call up with the energy of gratitude, any thankfulness that you can connect to. Gratitude for this body, whatever shape or ability it might be. Gratitude for this breath moving in and out of the body. And thankfulness for this body that carries us through our lives. Then slipping into just noticing the breath without having to control it right now. And as the breath rises and falls, really allowing the belly to do whatever it's doing, and maybe keeping track of that by feeling through your hands. And we might find maybe that when inhalation is happening, the belly wall can round and fill out and spill out into your hands. And when exhalation is happening, belly wall might flatten or deflate a little, and that movement is moving back towards the spine. Let's give yourself one or two more breaths here. Noticing whatever you feel. And then leave one of your hands, you might center it a bit more so it's more kind of the middle of your lower belly, and the other palm at your breastbone, at your heart. And let's just feel for a moment any movement in relationship of the distance from each hand, from heart to belly. And again, this might simply be your breath being breathed by your body. It doesn't have to be a deep breath, a controlled breath. Just noticing what happens when you're inhaling. Is there any movement? However subtle it might be. So what you might find maybe is when inhalation is happening, the hand at your breastbone rises away from the hand at your belly button. And you might notice when exhalation is happening that the hands move closer to one another. Feel 2 more breaths, just watching for any subtle movement that you might find. From here, bringing your hands to your knees, and we'll do a little bit of a mobility move, a mobility exercise. We can call it a mobility move for the middle spine, our thoracic spine, the rib cage in the mid back. So we're going to feel for rotating from there, taking your right arm out in front of you, like you're holding on to a teacup. You just want to suspend it here in the air out in front of you, and let your eyes train on this hand. So we're going to watch and keep the eyes looking at the hand as we move into this rotation. So we're simply going to look back. We want to pass this teacup behind us and then come forward. So making sure that you have enough room. I'm a little too close to my wall, but we're just going to do this a few times. You can go as far as feels good, but we're making sure that our head and our eyes track the hand. And just a few more of that. And you might notice I'm not linking this up to breath. I really want your body to be able to just adapt and breathe as necessary. We're just letting a natural breath happen right now. Just a couple more. If you start to find that there is a breath rhythm that sort of naturally lines up with the action, then go for it. We're only going as far as feels good. 1 more of those. And then we'll switch. So we'll let that hand come down. We'll bring the other one out. Same thing. We're just following with our eyes as we try to pass this teacup to the person, our imaginary friend behind us. Here you go. Now, the other hand might assist a little bit. If you want a little more oomph, if you push down into the leg or whatever your hand is on, you might just feel you can ease your way a little bit deeper. If that feels good, you can add to it. But we're watching that we're not straining here. Let's do 2 more. So opening and closing, twisting and coming back to center. And you can finish that up. And let that come to rest. From here, let your fingertips tap your shoulders and begin to make as big a circles with the elbows as feels good. So we're tracing circles left and right of us with our elbows. And breathing, again, we're not linking this up with any breath in particular in terms of inhalation to exhalation, which you might be super familiar with all the styles of yoga that adapted that inhalation, do this action, exhalation, do that action. We're just letting the breath flow, letting the body breathe for us. And when you're ready, switch, go the opposite direction. Couple more, just warming up our shoulders. Taking those circles as big as feels good. Switch one more time, going the other way again. And one more time, switch, go the opposite. Yeah. And then we can let that go. And move now into hands and knees with me. Next up, some work from tabletop. Hands under shoulders and knees under the hips. And go ahead and take yourself through a few of those classic yoga cat and cows. We can start to link up the breath now if that's interesting when we're inhaling, arching into cow pose. And when we're exhaling, rounding into cat. Inhaling into cow. And exhaling into cat. Keep going. Just a few more. Noticing and feeling any sensations that arise. And then when you're ready, let yourself settle into cow pose. So we're arching towards the earth with the belly, the ribs, the chest. And just breathing here, letting your breath move naturally. Take another breath here. Exhaling it out in cow pose. Now we're reversing the breath pattern. When you inhale, round into cat. Go really slow since this might be strange. As you exhale, dip or arch into cow. A couple more of this reverse breathing pattern as you inhale, moving into cat, pushing the earth away from you, widening across your shoulder blades and your mid-back. And as you are exhaling, rounding, pardon me, not rounding, but arching. See, it's like imprinted in my brain the other way. Try a few more, inhaling into cat and exhaling into cow. And then let yourself come back to neutral. Bring your elbows down to the floor. You can do a little measuring of your elbows, distance. See if you can tap the outsides of your upper arms with the fingertips. Grab opposite upper arms. Dolphin prelude for a moment. You can choose what feels good for your hands, maybe just palm to palm or interlace them. Walking the knees back perhaps a couple inches. We're just getting nice and settled and feeling pretty sturdy, stable through the hips. Knees could walk a little bit wider, allowing the head to hang a bit. And then resisting gravity, push down into the earth through the arms, the hands, the elbows. Feel, again, for a bit of that widening across the upper back and the mid-back. A slow breath across the back of the body. And as you exhale, give a little hug. Squeeze the inner arms in towards midline. Squeeze the inner legs towards midline. Keep letting the head just hang. A lot of ways you can play in this pose. Maybe you're feeling like you want a little bit more of lengthening sensation through the core. Reach the pelvis, bottom of the sit bones away from the bottom of your rib cage. You can lean back a little bit here. If you want to work into the shoulders a little bit more, you want a little more intensity, you can start to lift the hands away from the ground so that you're only on the elbows. Let's stay here for about 3 more rounds of breath. Dolphin prelude. And then when you're ready, let the hands come back down if they were up. Set the hands up under the shoulders, press up to hands and knees, and then step forward into a standing forward fold. Take your time. And letting the knees bend a little bit, we can hold on to opposite elbows and take a couple slow breaths here. And as we're breathing here, you might find a bit of motion, movement. You can sway or rock. Maybe leaning a little bit of weight more into one foot and then the other. And letting the torso dangle. Releasing the elbows when you're ready. Slowly rise up. So head comes up last. And then the next time you inhale, allowing the arms to float up, fingertips towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, bringing the palms together and letting them come down to meet palm to palm, thumbs at your breastbone. Just a few standing sun salutations. Inhale, float the arms up towards the sky. As you exhale, fold forward. Inhale into monkey pose, palms to shins maybe. Feel for lengthening parallel to the floor. Spine parallel to the floor. And when you're ready to exhale, forward fold again. Today we're simply rolling up. Inhale to roll and rise back up. Arms float up, reaching towards the sky. Exhaling, palms back together, letting them meet at the heart. Let's feel one more of those. Inhale, arms float up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, monkey pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to roll up. Let your head be the last to come up. Arms float up. Exhaling, palms come together at your heart. Now, like we played with our brains in cat-cow, come on a journey with me where the breath pattern, my cues are going to be the opposite of what we all know and have ingrained in our bodies from years of doing this. Let's see what happens. Hands at the heart. Take an inhale here. Exhale, float the arms up towards the ceiling. How does that feel? Inhale to forward fold. How does that feel? Exhale into monkey. Inhale to forward fold again. Exhale to press to the feet and rise up to standing. Arms will float up through that end of exhale. Inhale, palms together, bring the hands back in front of your heart. Just one more time today. Exhale, arms float up towards the ceiling. Inhale, forward fold. Exhale into monkey. Inhale, forward fold. Exhale to rise up to standing. Arms will eventually float up. Inhale, palms together at your heart. And just pause and feel. You can let your breath continue to flow in that deeper way, or maybe just let your body breathe for you. So from here, come on back down to sitting. That's where I think we'll take just one more pose here. So when you're sitting again, I'm going to coach us through feeling for that particular breath pattern, that spinal wave while we're sitting. And I'm going to exaggerate my movements. And if anyone is visual and you want to kind of watch a couple moments of my body moving, I think it's easier to see in profile. So I'll turn to the camera, bringing one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. And just like we did a little earlier, just noticing and feeling for any subtle movement as you breathe in and out. Your body breathes in and out. If it feels good to you to start to amplify the breath, you can exaggerate or take control of the next inhalation. Feel for this is happening inside of your body, chest lifting away from the hand at your belly. And as you're exhaling out slowly, feeling for any sense of the chest lowering towards the hand at the belly. And then we're going to exaggerate this with a little bit of a rocking sensation. So imagine that you're sitting right at the edge of a cliff, a beautiful cliff. Maybe the sea is down below. And you want to just very safely and carefully peek out. So you can see a little bit further. So that's what happens on the inhalation. As we inhale and the chest is lifting, okay, we tip our pelvis, maybe peek out with the head over the cliff. And then as we exhale and the chest lowers towards the belly, leaning back away from the cliff. Feeling that again as we're inhaling, we want to see what's out a little bit further out there. As you exhale, we're leaning back, moving the weight back more into the sit bones, the tailbone. Now I want to speak to what's happening with the skull. So as we inhale, we slightly rock forward, reaching out almost like we want to kiss something. So there's a little bit of lengthening through the front of the neck and throat, and a little bit of shortening through the back of the neck. And then as we exhale and we rock back to safety, feel for the back of the neck lengthening and the front of the neck shortening. And you can even imagine that you have a little marionette string on the back of the skull, top back of the skull. It's lifting up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. Let's see if I can cue that all together. As we inhale, chest lifts away from belly. We rock forward in the pelvis. We reach out with the head. Like we really just got to see a little further. As we exhale and the chest lowers towards the belly and our weight rocks back towards the tailbone, back of neck lengthens, front of throat shortens. Feel the back of the skull move away from the back of the neck. Inhaling to rock forward, looking out over the cliff. Exhaling to settle back, grounded through the back of the body. Let's feel one more. So now that we might have that movement pattern, maybe we got a little glimpse of that. One of the reasons why it is interesting to me to play with this is that then adding the self-massage to this is like a pathway into doing a little bit of myofascial release work in tandem with this breath wave. So today we're going for it. We're going to spend these last 2 minutes doing a little bit of a release for our chest. You might feel this in the neck. Now we could do this standing. I think I'm going to keep myself seated, but know that you could come back up to standing if you notice like you feel the breath wave more when you stand rather than when you sit. So we can take our hands and we're just bringing them right to the front of the chest. We want to feel, how we can kind of slide that top layer of tissue can kind of slip and slide over things. I'm not digging. I'm just really just letting my hands make contact with this tissue. I like us to gently press in and feel for pulling gently down, away from the neck, away from the head. Now let's move in that spinal wave, that breath wave. See what happens. As we inhale and the chest lifts and we look out over the cliff. What do we feel in the tissue that we're holding? And then as we exhale, keep gently pulling down and pressing into your body as you lean back, back of skull lifts up. Inhaling to rock forward, looking out over the cliff, back of neck shorten, front of neck lengthen. When we're exhaling, rocking back, maybe lifting back of skull away from the back of the neck. And after a few passes, I want us to just find your own rhythm. So I'm not slowing you down or speeding you up, but you might notice that your hands have traveled. So then we can like reset, bring them back a little bit higher, somewhere along the collarbone. Gently pressing in and down. Let's just go for one more. Inhaling to rock forward, looking out over the cliff. Exhaling to lean back, settle back, lift back of skull. Inhale to rock forward. Exhale to lean back. Maybe one more. You get to start to sense and feel in your tissue where it wants to go. So pressing in and down is just one way it might want to go. We can press tissue this way, that way. We can feel for lifting and picking it up. So that was just a little taste. If you want to finish up whatever exploration you're doing here right now, we'll let that go. And whatever felt the most interesting for your hands, either one hand on the belly, the other hand on the heart, or maybe going back to those pinky edges of the hands tucked into the hip creases, creating a nice basket for your low belly to round out and kind of spill out into. And just being here for one more moment. Noticing and feeling. Any shift or change in the way that you feel inside of your body now, and in the way that you can connect to your breathing. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your practice with me today. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me and we can chat more. So I'm going to stop the recording now. Thanks, everybody.